This conference will now be recorded.
SAC Integrated Financial Planning, another name is S4HANA Financial Planning. So we are going to start this course today. So let's go through the course content. In the course content, I'm going to explain what are the product features I'm going to cover, and then what are the planning processes we are going to cover. So both the things I'll explain. You know, S4HANA, when most of to learn this SSC planning course, if you have planning knowledge, that's good. Planning knowledge in the sense you might have BPC, you might have worked in BPC for planning side, so that's good. If you worked in FI, right, FICO controlling, like basically some people, if you are FICO consultant, you might have worked like KP06, KP26, those kind of transactions where you plan expenses, you plan activity types. So if you have that knowledge, that also helps. If you if you are a fresher, right, so if you are a fresher, it will be difficult to understand this planning processes and this product. However, if you repeat the session, so first time when you attend, you feel some gaps, right? So try to fill those gaps using some search engines or some other materials. Second time when you repeat, so first time there are some gaps, so you have to fill those gaps. So second time when you attend, you definitely understand this particular planning process. So in basically in S4 HANA, we perform our actual transactions. Even S4 HANA helps planning transactions also. You can plan the data also. We record sales transactions, we record expenses transactions, we record controlling transactions. So all transactions are recorded. Actual data is posted. Now you might have had something called universal journal table, where all these actual data, finance and CEO relevant actual data posted. Same way, SAP come up with another table called ACDOC-P table. In the ACDOC-P table, all financial planning relevant data stored. So now, as I said, like in S4 HANA, you have planning option. For example, if you some of you might know, like BPC optimized plan. In using BPC optimized planning, you can perform expenses planning, you can perform revenue planning, you can perform P&L planning, balance sheet planning, all those. So the data, whatever you plan, it's stored in the ACDOC-P table. So you have ACDOC-A table with actual data, you have ACDOC-P table with actual plan data. So both together you can create a report and you can get the variance. But what happens, you have different products. So for example, BPC standard, we used to use BPC standard for planning. Later SAP come up with BPC embedded. So some people used BPC standard, some people used BPC embedded. Later, when SAP introduced S4HANA, BPC optimized came into picture. So some customers used BPC optimized. So it's all about the flexibility. Why BPC standard to BPC embedded? BPC standard, you have to import the data two times. So ECC or other systems to BW, BW to BPC. When it comes to BPC embedded, one time. So it's the BPC embedded is part of BW system, so the same data it can use. So you can load to ECC to BW, you can use BPC embedded to consolidate data or to plan the data. BPC optimized, it's real time, it's live. So it can get data from ACDOC table using virtual providers, and it can store data to ACDOC table. So there is no need of import connections and all those things. So every time SAP is improving their processes or their products. So same in the same way, SAP come up with one product, as you know, SAC Analytics Cloud. So in SAC, you have analytics part, planning part, predictive part, right? Analytics, you all know, this is for reporting and dashboarding and all those things. Predictive part. So it's like earlier we used to have some tool, right? Data science part, predictive analytics. So the same thing you can perform here. Time series, re- classifications, regressions. So those things perform. You can perform. You can also create your own algorithms. So now, another part is planning. So which we are going to understand. So many products are there even in S4 HANA. Their own screens are there, like own transaction codes are there to plan the data. So then why we have to move to SAC? So SAC, if you see, it's very user friendly and you have a lot of options for the planning. System can propose using predictive techniques. Your system can propose the plan numbers. You have versioning options, private versions, public versions, like that. Some options they have given. So based on that, if you understand the product features now, so you can say, whenever your customer asks the same question, like why should I go to SSC, so you can explain these particular functionalities so that the customer can uh, go for this particular SSC. And when you are implementing, so whenever the customer asks you like some requirement, so you can compare whether that requirement is available in these options and you can implement those things. So it has rich modeling, top-down and bottoms-up planning, what-if simulations. So this what-if simulation is very important for planning. So when we talk about what-if simulations, so for example, you completed your planning scenarios and suddenly you submitted the data. So you means the customer submit, I mean the planner submitted the data. Later the customer asks like, if I want to change the raw material prices, indexes changed 10%. So 10% increase they have to do in the raw material. So it's not like only changing the raw material. The raw material change is going to impact so many places. Raw material changes basically affects your product cost. When the product cost changed, it affects your cost of goods sold. When the cost of goods sold is changed, your net income is changed. When your net income is changed, your balance sheet is changed. When your balance sheet is changed, so there is some impact on cash flow. So the what if simulations, the dependencies are very important. So here that is very flexible. SSC is very flexible to perform what if simulations. Private version. Whenever I plan, I can have my own version. Once I'm comfortable with my version, my private version, then I can publish to the public version. Driver based planning available. You can use predictive forecasting techniques like linear regression, automatic forecast, to plan the data. So system proposes the value. Collaboration and cell commentary. So collaboration in the sense, whenever planning happens, you need to get comments from your colleague, or you need some feedback from other colleagues. So the collaboration is very good. You can chat, you can share live that particular stories or documents, whatever you want. Cell commentary, column commentary available, and you have process control where you can use workflow and task assignments. Allocations, kindly mute please. So you have allocation option. Common cost we need to allocate to different cost centers. So utilities, whatever utilities cost, power cost, telephone cost, water cost, those you need to allocate to different departments. So the allocations are the configuration. We say the allocations also possible in all the systems. S/4HANA it is possible, BPC it is possible, BPC optimized it's possible, BPC embedded it's possible. But the way you configure these allocations here, it's very easy. It's you can easily understand what is the source system should get, or what are the driver system should use for the allocations, where it should post. So graphically you can select. And variance analysis, so you have actual data, you have planned data, variance analysis also good here in this particular uh, SSC. And you have Excel integration. We are not going to cover Excel integration in this session, but the option you have Excel integration like EPM add in for BPC. Here also you have you can add SAC Excel add. So modeling wise, if you observe, so you have like Excel sheet, master data, you can directly write it in that particular table, and you feel like same like in an Excel, like in BPC, right? Same format you will see. You feel like you're entering data in Excel, and you have some types of dimensions. So your account you can maintain one dimension, and entity you can maintain one dimension, time, version, so all types of dimensions available. So you have predefined entry sheets, input sheets. So you can create these input sheets where you can select your rows and columns, and the user can enter the data. Even you can show your actual data so that against this actual data, the user can forecast the data. And here, if you want to increase, for example, actual you copied and you want to increase 10%, you can just give plus 10%. System automatically calculates. Those options are available. So reports, so different types of reports available. And in the reports, you can add many calculations. You can see the cumulative sum or sum, multiplication, divisions, all kind of calculations you can add. Like Excel, you can also add it here, all the calculations. And as I said, like private versions. So there are two types of versions here: public versions and private versions. We are going to going these version types in the sessions. So private versions you can create and you can plan for your own private version. So there is an option. See, copy data to private version. So whatever actual data you can copy to the private version. Once you are happy with your data, once your feedback is completed, then you can publish it to the public. So the public versions can be shared by all the people, whomever having access, but private version is private to you. So if you wish, then you can share private version. So on the fly master data creation. So in the planning, what happens most of the time, we need some master data which is specific to the next year. For example, we want to introduce a new product next year, so that we don't create in the source like in the S4HANA system. So because when you want to create a product, that unit of measure, the product category, so many, so which plant, which storage location, so many details you need. But in SAC, you can create a dummy product, and against the dummy product, you can plan the data, so that for the new whatever product you are going to introduce, you can understand the profitability for the planning. Data locking. Once the data is planned, so once the data is approved, it should be locked for the changes. Otherwise, if the data is not locked, anyone can change the data. So that's why SAP given this particular data locking option. And then allocations, as I said, like you see, source, driver, target. So it's a graphical, this is the graphical interface. Using this graphical interface, you can easily map your sources to the target. In the new SSC application recently, what they did, I think if you want, you can use this allocation rule, but this the same thing they added in the data actions itself. So what are data actions? So data actions basically calculations. So for example, if you have customer wise prices, or so customer wise sales units, and product wise prices. So you can pick up product wise prices and you can multiply with customer wise sales units, and you can calculate revenue from each customer. So those kind of data actions you can create here in this particular SAC. So you have advanced formulas here where you can use some scripting to do this. And also one good thing here, which is not available in any of the other product, is visual. So you can just drag and drop and system automatically generates the code for you. This option available. So whatever you say, like AI. So now you see, this is what advanced formulas here you have written. So these calculations we can advanced formulas, whatever calculation engine it uses. So these advanced formulas helps you have some advanced calculations. You have currency translations. Here you have currency translation option. You can translate to one currency or many currencies. So for example, planning can happen in your local currency. You might be having 10 companies. So the 10 companies might have 10 different local currencies. But your management, top level management, the group want to see the plan data in one currency. So you can convert your local currency values to the planned currency or group currency. You have multiple options, so it's not that only one currency you can convert. You can convert to multiple currencies. And there is one graphical tree, which is a value driver tree, we call it as. So it's kind of like it looks like a fishbowl, right? So you maintain the driver. So for the drivers going to affect your upper levels. So for example, how you change the price based on the price index. So for example, you change the price index. So the price index is going to affect the selling price. When the selling price is affected, your profit is going to affect. Once the gross profit is affected, automatically it affects the net income. So that chain you can automate it using value driver tree. So this is what one of the very good tool for what if simulation. So predictive forecasting, as I said, in the predictive forecasting, you can the data. So you based on historical data, based on trained data, system can propose next few months data. Based on the historical data, it can propose 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months. So later, if you want, the user can change the proposed values, but system has a capability to propose your planned values, forecasted values. So as I said, collaboration tool, the input template. So there is an input template. This input template, see here, you can start discussions. You can chat with your colleagues. You can share this input template with different people so that you can get the feedback from them. They can submit the data. You can approve the data. You can reject the data. So all the options available here for the collaboration. So the stories mainly used to create the dashboards, reports, input templates, all those things. Stories will have some pages. So each page you can have some reports, charts, tables, input templates like that. So those are all product features I explained. So all those product features we are going to cover in this course, and also at the once we understand the product, yeah, we are going to understand all the planning processes, financial planning, S4 HANA financial planning. So it's called as S4 HANA financial planning because in S4 HANA we used to perform expenses planning, we need to perform activity type prices planning, we need to perform product cost planning. So that cost estimate, that standard cost estimate, you do it in CK11N, right? You used to estimate the raw materials and all those things. So all those things now it's moved to SAC because of the flexibility. Still, as for HANA, the planning process piece works, but we most of the time people go use now. People are happy to use this SAC because of these predictive functionalities, because of this flexibility stories and all those things. So here we are going to cover in this particular course. Once we understand the product, we are going to understand what is operational expenses planning. As part of operational expenses planning, how the cost and expenses planning done, how the allocations done, how the activity prices are calculated. So there are different ways to calculate the activity type prices. So we discuss both the types. So what are the models we need to create? What are the dimensions we need? So this information we will understand. There are many data actions because you already understand, because we first discuss data actions, then we start this particular course. You will understand those data actions. Then we are going to understand product cost planning. So as part of product cost planning, so what are the raw materials we are going to use for that particular product, and activities we are going to use that particular product. So based on the quantity structure, when I say quantity structure, bill of materials plus routings. So routings. So that quantity structure will pick up. We can pick up from the S4 HANA, from the product cost estimate, or we can create the quantity structure directly in SAC. So based on the quantity structure, Raw material prices we can plan, and activity prices we already derived in the operational expenses. Those we use for product cost plan. So for each product, we understood the product cost here in this particular product cost planning model. Then sales and profitability planning. The user plans this particular sales prices and sales quantity. This deductions also they can plan in this particular property in this particular model. The sales quantity we will multiply with product cost. We will get the cost of goods sold. The sales quantity we multiply with sales prices. We will get the revenue. So that's where the profitability planning comes. The profitability of a customer, the profitability of a product, the profitability of a profit center we can analyze here. So it's kind of uh, as I say, as you know, like segments, market segments. Whatever market segments you want, you can analyze here in the sales and profitability plan. Then we have capital expenditure planning, where we are going to perform capital expenditure, assets planning, investment planning, and we are going to calculate the depreciation. And at the end of the process, we have financial statement planning, where you can add P&L planning, balance sheet planning. So the P&L is integrated with all these models. So expenses, this P&L model going to get from operational expenses model. Cost of goods sold, it's going to get it from the profitability planning. Depreciation, move to operational expenses, from operational expenses to P&L. Whatever calculated net income is moving to balance sheet. On top of that, cash flow we are going to generate. So this process we are going to understand in the system. So this is entire course, and if you see my course content, whatever uh, uh, options, whatever product capabilities I mentioned here, all those things we are going to cover in this content. So here,
One
introduction.
question.
Yeah,
Are we also going to cover the integration with the source systems and the connectivity requirements in the
yeah,
beginning?
I'm going to that. I'm coming to that point. Yeah, I'm coming. So introduction to SAP Analytics Cloud planning, then dimensions, models we are going to understand, and we are going to import data from flat files, right? Then we are going to understand core planning functionality, distribution, spread, and I mean currency translation and all this stuff. So you have a planning panel. So we are going to understand the planning panel, and currency translation also we are going to understand. So it's a predictive techniques we are going to understand for the forecasting. You have different predictive techniques, and also we are going to understand how to create a real rolling forecast template, how to create a value driver tree, how to create a predictive forecast, and data actions, copy data actions, advanced formulas, allocations. We are going to understand here. Even we are going to execute the exercises. Then collaboration tool, input, task, validation. So you have something called validation rules. So we are going to understand validation rules based on the master data, based on the transaction data. So controlling data access with cell and data locking. So all this part of this particular course, as I mentioned in the initial product capabilities. So all the exercises we are going to execute. So it's a hands-on training. So we all together going to create all the models, dimensions, whatever product capabilities. So it's we are going to use the trial version. So because we can use the trial version, whatever I'm doing in the system, same time you can do execute in your system. Parallelly, we are going to execute all the scenarios. I'm going to share the data required. Sample data is what sample data required. Uh, Dimensions or models. I'm going to give you the data. And in this course, so this course is planned for 30 hours session and weekend sessions, and it's planned for night 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Sometimes I might change to 9:30 p.m. right in India time. It's 2 hours, 2 hours or 2.5 hours maximum. Saturday 2 hours, Sunday 2 hours. You can make it as 4 hours a week. And I will share configuration and PDF documents, whatever required for this. and total course fees is 30,000 INR. Trial user, I help you to get the trial user. You can also Google it, you will find it. Sample master and transaction data for practice, I'm going to give it to you. You can attend this session two times, two times based on, see, if you miss some session, I can allow you one more time also. So here, some more points as I have to explain. Here we are going to understand planning processes. We are going to understand. Yes, the main objective is planning process. As a consultant, if you go for a project, how can you handle a planning project? So that's what we are going to understand. I'm not going to. For all these scenarios, whatever planning process scenarios we have, I'm going to use flat files for the sample data. Only flat files I'm going to use. I'm not going to cover import connections. So how to connect different systems, how to get data from the different systems. So that I am not going to cover in this system, in this particular course. So because the main objective is planning process. So import connections, how to get the data, it's all part of SAC analytics part. And for that you need system connections and all those things. I'm not going to discuss import connections. It's not part of the course. And part of the course. Don't ask me any questions relevant to import. See, it's my request, right? And then exporting. Okay, this I can explain. So I can explain. We can't connect to the system, but export data, export data to S4 HANA from SAC. This I can explain how it happens. All right. So this is all about the course. And now it's open for the questions. Yeah, you can ask me any questions. So remember, import connections not part of the course. Please don't ask any questions relevant to connections. So we are going to understand planning
To understand
processes.
planning processes,
Your question should be on
your
planning
question should be
processes.
on planning processes. Yeah, hi, Kiran. Just
Yep.
one thing. So, for the export option, are we going to discuss from SEC to BW as well?
No, no, SAC to S4 HANA. So because it's
Only.
financial planning, we need to
Hmm.
understand how the activity type prices can be exported, how the expenses can be exported for the budget control. So those points we are going to understand. So BW, I don't think, no, BW we are not going to cover. Whatever export to S4HANA.
So basically, SAC to AC doc P.
Exactly. Right. So any other questions regarding planning processes or fees
Yes, yeah, one
structures?
more question.
Kiran, I have one question.
Yeah.
You said you wouldn't be talking about import connections, but would you be discussing about the different kinds of sources you would be getting data from?
No. We are going to get the data from S4HANA only. So if you want to understand, I have a video. I can share that how to get data from S4HANA. So when the connection was available, I made that one. I can share that.
Okay.
So
What other sources does SAC support?
you can check it. You can check it. You can Google it. So
Okay.
there are 150 sources.
Okay.
Hi, Kiran. In slide number 17, you have shown that end-to-end integrated financial planning right up to the financial statement planning, right? So would you
Hmm.
be configuring that as part of this sessions, the
So
end-to-end
we are
life
going
cycle?
to activate. We are going to, yes. We are going to activate the business content. Once we after activating the business content, we are going through all the processes. Then we are going to explain how to use this content for your implementations. How to adapt this content for your implementation.
Thank you.
So one question, Kiran, this business content that we have, can this be applied anywhere, or is it
Anyway,
specific
yes.
to the business?
across the industries. It's cross industry. So see, for example, if it is a service industry, right? Uh, for them, they don't have product cost planning.
Yeah.
So this we will skip, and instead of this, we can use for the services whatever planning they need. So we can develop a model for that.
Okay.
Financial planning is same for across industries. Only this product cost planning differs.
Yep.
Kiran, are we covering HR planning, sales planning, financial planning, some apex and capex, all into?
OPEX and capex. See, this is operational expenses means OPEX. Capital expenses plan means capex. So workforce planning we are not going to cover. So workforce planning integration is there. So I can explain that. I can show you the add-on what SAP delivered, but we are not going to cover workforce planning. It's part of success factors, right? So here you can have the input templates. I'm not going to cover this workforce planning. Only my concentration financial planning. So it's assumed that all the workforce relevant salaries and all those things coming from workforce planning application. More.
Kiran, one more question. In a real-time scenario, since you said that you would be taking the data out of flat files and that you will be using into your
Mm,
dimensions models, but in a
mm.
real-time scenario, the planning would be the actual data would be coming out of S4 HANA's AC doc A that goes through those import connections, and based on that data, we do the planning, right?
Correct, correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So whatever any other questions, you can write an email to me.
Yeah,
Kiran,
Kiran.
as part of
One
this
question only.
data actions, advanced formulas, are we covering variables also?
So yeah, parameters are part of data actions. So variables in the sense parameters only, right? So the parameters are called as variables in
Yeah.
your the other products. So we will add the parameters. So we are going to use parameters in the advanced
What about
variables in the
security, Kiran?
we will cover security. I will explain the security, how to import whatever developed content, how to import to other system, other tenants. That also will cover. Yeah. So we'll stop now.